Okay, so who we got on the phone here today?
So you got Active from the Mom Riders on the phone today.
Cool. Hold on a second. Do you know Chicken Leather?
Absolutely. I hope he knows me.
Yeah. Here. You want to talk to him? He wants to tell us about
Oh. Hello, Active. How's it going?
Hello, DJ Chicken Leather. It's going great. How about you?
Oh, it's going okay. I'm having one of those mornings, you know. I came up and I got clipped by a car. And,
Oh, really? Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. It's just that you tell yourself okay, you get back on the bike, and then about 3 hours later you realize, oh yeah, that must have been what happened.
Oh, jeez, man.
So I'm feeling all right. It was more like the road conditions, I think, than the car that whacked me. So it's going to be rainy out there, so I suggest everybody, and I'm saying this without a helmet, but everybody, try to remember the conditions of the road out there. Hey, what's going on, Active?
Not much, man. Just waking and baking. Reeling in the good feeling from the ride with no name last night. We were able to raise $135 for the All City Toy Ride.
Awesome, and it's funny you should mention that because I've got some tape from last week's Midnight Riders where we were talking about that too.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, we just hopped on that microphone and started challenging people to donate with Harry and myself. We're trying to secure the location and get that box truck rentals, to haul away all those toys.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't do it all on bikes, right?
Absolutely. Well, we could, but it might be raining, so we should have those toys covered.
Okay, well, for those people that don't know, tell us a bit about the toy ride. Maybe you remember it from last year.
Oh, I never remember anything, but I'll do my best. The All City Toy Ride, dude, it's been an annual event with the Midnight Riders and all the other smaller bike groups. We right around Thanksgiving, prior to it, we start fundraising and getting the word out that, that it's coming up. And every year we choose an organization to give out these toys to. I don't remember off the bat who we're donating all these toys to this year, but last year it was a great turnout. I mean, the year before that, it was really huge considering it was pouring. And hopefully this year we'll have some clear skies and we'll be able to have a really great time. We're trying to secure a location for an after party and like I said, we're trying to get that box truck going on.
All right. Well, you've got to listen to Bike Talk because I think I have some news about that.
Oh, I will.
All right. Hey, but one of the things we want to talk to you about now that we got you on the phone is you also do another program out there that we hear about, but it's I don't want to say it's overtly sad, but it kind of is. Well, maybe you can tell me a little bit about it. That's the Ghost Bike things that you've been doing in Los Angeles, and we're just going to touch on this, but we can go into as much detail as you like. So, first of all, what is a Ghost Bike?
Well, a Ghost Bike has been brought to everybody's attention lately as a memorial to the death of a cyclist, on the road. Whether, they were struck by a car, unfortunately, maybe a wipeout. We had a gentleman, I believe in Orange County, he was, smashing down a hill and he lost control of his bike and unfortunately he lost his life. Somebody was able to memorialize him with the Ghost Bike down there. Up in LA, I've been trying to do what I can for those that have been unfortunately struck by automobiles, either whether it be road rage like the incident we had in downtown LA by the 110 freeway off of 8th Street, or whether it's, a messed up situation like a hit and run like we had in South Pasadena. Fortunately, that gentleman was caught. And sometimes we have, unfortunate accidents, as some people like to call it, like we had in West Pasadena by Old Town. I know a lot of people will know the name Alan Dean. He was an unfortunate victim of an accident, and there's a Ghost Bike right next to the house. I understand it was there as of about 2 weeks ago. I don't know if it's still there. And it's just a way to bring attention to what's going on out there. There's everybody notices there's people riding their bikes all happily and merrily, but not many people know that people are losing their lives on their bikes too. And by tying up a Ghost Bike, on a telephone pole or something, it raises awareness and it also memorializes. And it's weird because I was brought up believing that we tie up these Ghost Bikes, in the middle of the night, nobody's around, and it's all under anonymity. And then in the morning, people notice that somebody has erected a bike there. But I've done quite a number this year where somehow, I'm in the planning stages of asking, for help. Who wants to come help me build the bike and stuff like that? And I get calls from friends and families of the victim wanting to participate, and they've turned out to be some pretty huge memorial services at the time we go tie them up. Anywhere from 20 to 50 people, even more, have shown up. Friends and family have eulogized the victims, the down riders. And it brings a sense of closure not only to the family and cycling community, but also to the neighborhood around them, because the businesses and the residents of these areas, they'll wake up to an ambulance or a coroner's van or police tape, and they get worried. They don't know what's happened, or once they realize what happened, they don't know what to think. Geez, somebody just passed away in front of my apartment building or something, and I think it's a way to bring closure to everybody that gets affected by it one way or another.
Yeah, and I'm remembering something. It's like last week there was a California summit, and they were asking everybody if they had a dream wish or something. And one of the dream wishes was maybe zero pedestrian or slash cyclist deaths out there. And while we haven't even reached close to that number, at least we're seeing people out there dream about it and wish for it and things of that sort. It also, I would argue, brings some sort of visibility to the fact that if you have a hinky or a dangerous intersection, that you might wake drivers up, not just cyclists, but some of the people behind the wheel, to the fact that, hey, somebody died here. You might want to, because of road conditions, like I mentioned earlier, or something else, be able to notice this and take action over it.
Well, and I think sometimes, there's circumstances at intersections, whether it be sun glare or faulty lighting or whatever, that may attribute to these accidents. But a lot of times I do believe it's just human error. These people, they may have been drinking and are too inebriated to be driving, and, somehow they end up colliding with a cyclist. Or in the case we had with the K-Town ride, with the Kushtown ride back in June, we had a lady that had a trifecta of things against her. She was, in Culver City, coming off of, I think, Rodeo and Jefferson. Not only has she been drinking, she's texting and she's speeding along a curve, and she plowed into like 60 cyclists. Thank God nobody was killed this time. We had 12 people, critically injured and hospitalized. But, it just goes to show that sometimes it's not really the road itself that causes these accidents. It's the drivers. They just don't care about the well-being of others, whether they're pedestrians, motorists, or cyclists.
Yeah, it's a shame, because something like that can be avoided. I don't know about you, but I always think that, I'm sort of conditioned to answer the phone right away. But we keep forgetting there's a great thing called a message machine that's built into all these cell phones. Let the message machine pick up, and it's like, if you don't get that call in 5 seconds, is it really going to matter? I mean, come on, especially if somebody's life is at stake. And I want to bring that up. It's not just that, but it's also people doing other things, not necessarily illegal, but you may want to think twice about chomping down on food while you're trying to do the thing. I call them people from Vegas now, because they're like one-arm bandits. If one arm is on the wheel, I'm happy.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, there's different things that distract these drivers, whether it's it's somebody putting on their makeup, running late to work, or even shaving, or like you said, trying to scarf down that bagel on the way to the office. People just need to focus on what they're doing. Just yesterday, I'm driving. I'm coming back from Anaheim Hills, handling some business, and I'm on the freeway, and I'm watching this guy texting. It's slow-moving traffic, bummer-to-bummer traffic, as they say on NPR. And I'm seeing this guy getting closer and closer to a car, and I kid you not, I started the countdown. I started at 6, 5, all the way down to 0. Once I hit 0, the dude slammed into the car in front of him. And I'm thinking, geez, this guy swears he's paying attention, but, he just caused an accident during rush hour. That could have been somebody's kid walking home from school or something.
Yeah, well, the one thing I like to argue too, and this is something that keeps coming up, is, and we compare our fair city to those of the advanced ones like Copenhagen. They're always talking about maybe is it always the driver's fault, and without question, even if the bike rider is doing something, if you take that consideration that the car is 3,000 pounds and you're on a bike or maybe a fraction of that, you have to look at it. It's not even a fair fight in that sense.
Well, you know what? In all fairness, I know I'm a cyclist, but I'm also a motorist. Because that's what I do for a living. And the thing is, it's not always the motorist's fault. Like I've been, quick to point the finger this morning. But sometimes, we do have cyclists that'll just start out of driveways, or cut a corner all quick into traffic, against the red light. And I'm not gonna lie, I've been guilty of, darting into traffic because I'm rushing, and I've been a bit careless, and luckily I've been okay. But there are times where there's people that are not paying attention, and the combination of a distracted driver and a careless cyclist, can be catastrophic. So many times I see this, cyclists running their red lights, cars running their red lights, people driving into traffic or cycling into traffic. It's just, it's just a matter of time until these things happen. But I mean, if we have these nice bike lanes with the K-rail along it, like a buffer zone, I think that would make one hell of a difference.
It was funny because, and I'm going to relate to you a little bit of a story. When we talk about all this infrastructure for bicyclists, I'm wondering, you just mentioned that you were also, you make your living driving. Have you become a better driver with the advent of you cycling a lot more?
Actually, definitely. I mean, every time I'm pulling out of a driveway, I'm pulling into a driveway, anytime I'm going to make a turn, it's almost like an OCD. I got to check my left side twice or more there, and I want to make sure because, a kid smashing on his bike, 20, 25 miles an hour could appear out of nowhere. Well, and I could have already checked that side. So I know I'm double checking, triple checking, I'm always making sure if I'm changing lanes or about to make a right turn that there's nobody in the bike lane, and it's just more aware. I mean, I'm thankful I haven't had any incidents where I've been struck by a vehicle in over a year. It's actually been about almost 18 months now.
Are you knocking on wood? I'm knocking on wood right now.
There you go. Thank you for reminding me. But
yeah. But no, it's not just about luck or anything. There's certain things you can do. The argument is that it's education not only for us but education for the driver. And I'm wondering if I as a bikeless, I'm the first one, or cyclist, I'm the first one to tell you that I am willing to take a chance if it comes down to my life. I mean, I will, without a doubt, break the law if it's a life or death situation. And people look at me like, is that really something to do? I'm saying, yeah. If it's the difference between me getting in front of a line once or twice a second out, and somebody would go, oh, my God, you're breaking the law. But I'm looking at it as another out. I mean, that 1 foot might be the difference between, we see all these signs, 3 feet, give them 3 feet. I'm happy if it's 1 foot or 6 inches sometimes coming down these streets, because that's the difference of sometimes between me getting, let's just say, feeling the road today or getting to the studio safer. I'm willing to do that, and I might be at the bane of some drivers who say, "Oh my God, look what he's doing." But these are things where education would be better. I mean, a lot of people don't know that you can share the road. I mean, we have access to that whole road there. They're always telling me to ride the sidewalk or something.
And that's the key word. You keep saying education. We have to educate. Not just two sides of the spectrum, but all sides, because I remember an incident where we were in the valley on the Monday night rehab ride, and, we had just had about 2 weeks of torrential downpours, and the debris field on the right of the road was, very dangerous and hazardous that we took up, the first right lane, and we got pulled over by the LAPD, and I had to argue our way that, it was in our best interest to ride in the lane instead of, through the hazardous debris. And the law allows that. And even that cop was in a position where, he didn't know how to argue his side of it. And, we always have to, be cautious out there because not, people gotta, get mad when cyclists are a little bit too much into the traffic lane, but they don't realize that not only are we trying to, avoid potholes, just like they are. I mean, how many cars do you see swerve because they don't want to hit a pothole? And they're driving really wide, thick tires with solid rims. What the hell is going to happen to that car? We're driving on, 36 spoke rims, which could easily just bend on us and flip us over. On top of that, we have to avoid mirrors and doors. And if you have delivery trucks, you have those mirrors that extend out quite a bit. It's just a long list of obstructions that bicyclists have to deal with. And sometimes they might inconvenience the car because we're taking up the lane, but they just need to be more educated on why we're doing it.
Yeah, I can't agree with you more than how you put it there. It's a topic that's come up at a number of things, including as I mentioned earlier, the bike summit that they did last week here in L.A., where they talked a lot, not just about road safety on the roads, but for bicyclists, but they also talked about, as I said, education. But it sort of was also getting out there and doing something about road conditions that improves it for everyone. And you mentioned potholes. Everybody knows me on rides. I always yell out if there's debris or if it's safe or something, but it comes second nature because I had a good friend of mine, Sexy, used to do the same thing, but he was always carrying a trailer or something with him, and I'm always going, one good pothole will just send you sideways in Koreatown. So I'm sure it sends you sideways anywhere else, but it always seems like Koreatown is the last place that they pave here in L.A. You know what I mean?
You're probably right, man. I hate driving down like Wilshire or 3rd Street through there, man. It's the conditions are horrible.
Yeah, and I don't think it's out of any neglect. It's just that there's so much infrastructure that gets done under the auspices of like, oh, we're improving the neighborhood, but we're going to leave this ditch in front of your house open for the next 6 weeks or a month. Oh, we forgot about it. It's now 2 years now. And it's funny because, I know that there's budget cuts and everything else, but I'm wondering if, I got to argue if this was somewhere else, it would have been done in 2 weeks. But anyway, without me griping or anything.
Well, absolutely, you're right. I mean, you don't see construction road signs in Beverly Hills last more than a week or so.
No, but they've got money. I mean, I don't want to compare L.A. to Beverly Hills at any point. But I would argue too because. We've had different people on here argue about, like, there's no unifying plan for any of the municipalities with the city. I mean, can you imagine what would happen if Santa Monica and Beverly Hills got together and said, we're gonna build a bike path regardless if LA City does, and we want to join with our brothers to the south or to the north and make it safer for everybody. Can you imagine what would happen if they all got together and said, hey, we want to be like Long Beach, or hey, we want to be like Davis? I mean, my God.
Oh, man, they would get recalled in an instant. I mean,
yeah, there's no room for that, and that's really sad. It's almost like
I'm not going to be able to park my Rolls Royce in the bike lane anymore.
Well, it doesn't ever come down to that, because if you have a Rolls Royce, you probably have a garage that you can put it into. You never put it on the street. That's the one thing when...
Absolutely not. Not when I'm going down to Muffy's house for, brunch or something,
Well, I'm not going to get to an argument with the haves or have-nots with the Occupy. But there is something we're going to ask, and I noticed it again at the Occupy on Thursday when they were trying to have a day of action, that there were a tremendous amount of police. And the reason I bring it up is next week is critical mass, but... I haven't been to a few of them only because the critical mass has become almost a police mass. And the reason I'm putting this to you is you've had some talks where they've come to you and said, hey, you're a representative of the bike community, and the police have actually liaisoned with you. Can you tell us a bit about that relationship, Active?
Oh, well, see, that's just a trip, man. I mean, I don't know how it just happened, It's ironic, because I'm one of the biggest potheads, and I like to drink, and when I drink, and anybody that knows me would attest to that. All of a sudden, I for some reason, since I was a kid, I've always had a great rapport with, authority figures, either to manipulate it to get my way or just to genuinely get along with them, And they just approached me last year, and there was too many incidents going on with critical mass where we were causing, really bad traffic nightmares, and with the exception of just us flowing through there was a lot of incidents of people riding against traffic, swerving in and out, acting very recklessly, and they wanted to make themselves look better because I believe it was May 2010 when that YouTube video surfaced of an LAPD officer kicking cyclists off of their bikes in Hollywood. They got a bad rap, they went under review, and that following month, June and July, they wanted to show up and either assert their alpha male role in the society and be like, hey, you know what, we're cops, or you're gonna do what we say, and they wanted to infiltrate or just take over our mass. And I really tried, very much to work with them, and I'm not gonna dismiss all the great work that's been going on. The bike community has pulled together critical mass. It's growing and growing every month. The leadership on this ride is outstanding. They have a nice volunteer corps that'll just pull over and help you fix your chain or your tires and stuff. Different bike shops like the Flying Pigeon have been donating tubes and patch kits, to help the movement go on.
Yeah.
And they're able now to pull into like supermarkets where instead of management closing the doors and having security guards block them because, oh no, here comes the cyclist. These supermarkets will come out with a pallet of water bottles and just start handing them out at no charge. They're becoming a great community forum in itself. But getting back to the LAPD, you're right. The LAPD seems like everything's back to normal with our ride as they wanted it. I guess we're not stir crazy. We're not going on the other side of the lines. But yet it seems like there's still a big presence of LAPD on this ride.
Yeah, I wonder if it's really, and I would question, along with the Occupied, it seems that LAPD, there's a tremendous outlay not only of resources and people and stuff, but just the carbon footprint. I'm seeing not just one block of cars and maybe some bike things, but it's like, is it a show of force or something? They're chanting Kumbaya, and we're part of the 99, and the police are coming out with rubber bullets and riot gear. Nobody's.
It's totally a show of force.
Oh yeah.
And it's funny too because I believe there's like about 11,000, LAPD officers on the force, and they sure come out in a large presence. They'll overlap their shifts and everything, and even then, people don't know that in order for this city to be deemed safe, statistically speaking, you need like about 13,000 officers on the force, and all this is just, really wasting valuable resources that we don't have,
Yeah.
Unlike other cities where the cops are getting crazy and, you basically have riots going on, LA has been pretty much peaceful, the occupation movement is trying to do one thing, and it looks like they've been able to coordinate in a way that there's no beef between the politicians and the law, and it hasn't gotten to a point where people are being shot in the face with mace and they're being tackled at the age of 80.
Yeah, I saw that. I heard about that too. Black woman's sidekick came up to me and said, hey, they're beating up people in New York. And when I heard that, it wasn't so much to get out there and protest. It was just to get out there and document it and say, you know what, this can't happen. And I don't care how, I even joked about it all day. I said, some of those 80-year-olds, they'll get in your face, man. You let them talk and they start telling you about the Depression and all these other things that you've heard a million times. I said, yeah, maybe they deserved it. And she looked at me and said, what? What are you saying? And I said, no, it's a joke. Obviously, no 80-year-old deserves to get, punched or slapped or anything. If anything, you tell them, look, miss, I'm not gonna, you've got to move or whatever. But you would never pepper spray them or push them or like the video or something.
And please don't freaking hog tie her, with her hands behind her back. A lady at that age, there's osteoporosis. There's all kinds of things going on with the skeletal system. Be a gentleman, dude. She ain't gonna kill you, Just
No.
zip tie her arms in front of her, dude, in a comfortable position. You wouldn't want your mother being treated like that.
Absolutely. Well, anyway, let's get back to cycling. I'd really like to see this classification. I don't know who does this, but there was always a classification for strong cyclists and everything and how they view us. I think they really have to turn that around and say, okay, they're not terrorists. What are they? They have to do.
Well, I don't know about that.
Well, we like to go out on the bicycle street and like today, it's a beautiful
terrorize,
day.
And that's what they say we do. We're terrorists because during rush hour we're out terrorizing the traffic.
Oh, but we are traffic. See, there's that argument. I remember hearing that all the time. It's like, hey, you have to keep traffic moving, and you're going, we're moving as up to or faster than the traffic that's out there now. I mean, can we both share? And I think that's what it comes down to, this mutual sharing.
There's that funny picture that was going around Facebook a couple of weeks ago where it says, you're not stuck in traffic, you are traffic.
Yeah. But that's, we're preaching to the converted now. But what I'm wondering is, do you have any kind of insight to when the police are going to stop, like, basically bringing everyone to critical mass and maybe letting it get back to critical mass instead of, police mass or cop mass or bike mass
I was at the helm, for a good time last year with this ride, and I got to the point where I honestly saw no end in sight. It's just like, the number of cars, the motorcycles, all that really, in my opinion, causes a bit more hazards. If you're talking about a police car fully loaded, and these guys will carry extra gear in their trunk and stuff like that, you're talking, maybe two tons, 2.5 tons, and then you have a freaking half-ton motorcycle to a 1-ton motorcycle, zipping right by you, and like you said earlier, that carbon footprint they're putting, it's just, it's too much. Do we really need a helicopter hovering? Not many people know that the astronomical cost of a helicopter.
Yeah.
And I personally, they've seen how mature the ride has gotten. There's the leadership core. There's like 80 plus volunteers on this ride, and you'll see them. I think they wear like little vest or reflective something. And I honestly don't know. I haven't been on critical mass in probably since New Year's. And
so I can't believe that. You mean I've been to more critical mass this year than you have? That's amazing.
Absolutely. I was just surprised that I went on the ride with no name yesterday. It had been quite some time since I was on a group ride. I've been doing a lot of solo distance rides on my own. Usually Sunday mornings before I even show up to the bike oven.
Well, having said that, that's the other thing you do. You're part of the bike oven little core group there that helps to repair things in Los Angeles, right?
Well, I try to see it as I'm just occupying the bike oven.
Oh, no. It doesn't work that way. You can't sit down. We always tell somebody they got to start helping somebody. And it's funny because everybody thinks you have to know a lot about wrenching or something else. I look at it like something as easy as translating. My linguist skills are restricted to really bad, like Latin that I learned in Catholic school. So anybody
that can, that drivey talk too.
Yeah, anybody that can chime in with a good explanation, and it's kind of funny because you kind of can guess, but doing, it gets to be almost like you're doing pantomime or something and everything. Thrown in nonetheless into a world you didn't create, almost like Howard the Duck. When you sometimes look at a bike, you go, "How did I get here?"
Well, I warn people. There's a lot of times where I'll be at the counter, just doing the clerical stuff at the bike oven, and new volunteers come in or new people come in for the first time. And I give them the rundown, let them know what we do and how easy we operate over here and whatnot. And then I warn them. But you know what? I'm gonna tell you right now. I came in here for a flat tire several years ago, and I never left. Make sure you know what you're doing because this thing will just suck you in.
Well, it's funny because that's how it usually starts. People want air in their tire, and then it's like my brakes aren't really working that well, and then it becomes like, yeah, this isn't working. So you've overhauled the bike when it was just started out as air. But I think that's a common kind of thing, right?
You know what? Like you said, it could be like 15 minutes right before closing time. Somebody has a minor problem, and it turns into a complete overhaul.
Yeah. But we haven't sent them away yet. I think, like you say, it's almost like a safety issue and stuff. Hey, Active, what are you doing this weekend? If I can ask.
Well, I got a family function this evening out in the 909. I'm going out to Moreno Valley. It's my niece's quinceañera, so the family's having a huge party for her. And unfortunately, this weekend, I don't think I'm going to be able to get some good mileage. They're talking about rain tomorrow morning.
Oh, well, that doesn't scare you, does it? Don't you put on one of those rubber condom suits and go out there and ride?
See, the thing is, I don't mind getting wet. I find it kind of fun sometimes, and I switch over to my hybrid so I can use my disc brakes and really know how to stop. But I'm worried about that idiot that's texting on slick roads while driving a freaking 2,000-pound car,
Yeah. Well, okay, so we've discussed that, but I'm going to bring it around one more time to the question I sort of posed to everybody last week was, at the Bike Summit, they were asking everybody what was their one wish or something, or maybe you get 3 wishes, just like a genie. Do you have a wish that you could hope for in Los Angeles about maybe biking or cycling that would make it safer, or just some other issue? Maybe it's outlandish. Maybe you'd like to see...
Actually, yeah, I do.
Okay.
My one wish is that I want my pedicab license so I could actually pick up some legal fares in downtown LA.
Oh, wow. That's an issue that has kind of come up in the vernacular, but it's not just that. It's also the taxi cab kind of lobby that says, hey, these are the kind of things that are taking fares away. But I would argue a pedicab, you go at a slower rate, and you've got people that want to see the city, right?
And a pedicab is not meant for, cross-town trips, I'm certainly not in the mood to haul, some fat-ass motherfucker on my pedicab from downtown L.A. all the way to Venice Beach, But, it's for the person that wants to go from, 7th and Main over to, 4th and, Spring.
Right.
And meanwhile enjoy the views and take some pictures, It's more of a tourist thing, not a transportation thing, Because the taxi industry has nothing to worry about, Cause for the most part, these guys, and I'm not sure I can even speak for them because I'm not a taxi driver myself, but I know for a fact that they get upset, especially when you're at an airport, and how they have to, sit in line right there. It's, first come, first serve, and you got to wait your turn till you get a fare. They hated it. They get stuck with the guy that's only going a mile away.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're hoping for that, that $30, $40 fare plus, hopefully a $5 or $10 tip.
Yeah. Well,
and I'm lucky because during Ciclovia, as you know, I usually ride with the mayor's entourage and the pedicabs. And he brought it up to me, which I thought was kind of funny. He goes, "Hey man, how come you're not out here, making some money with your pedicab?" And I looked him square in the eye and I go, "Mayor, you won't let me." And by you, I mean the Department of Transportation. They won't give us, any permits, any licenses. And he actually was able to call somebody on the spot from the DOT, and we had an impromptu little meeting right there. And the DOT says they are actively looking into this. They're working on things, and the mayor said he was going to take a personal interest in making sure I got my pedicab license.
So you're talking about Mayor Villaraigosa. You're not making up some sort of fantasy thing, right?
Absolutely
not. This isn't a drug-induced kind of thing, right?
I know it's wake and bake, but the oven barely preheated, so.
That's right. Move my bike.
And it's a good thing. The mayor's out there. He's riding with us, and he's actually enjoying himself. I've been to every Ciclovia event we've had in LA, and I've been with the mayor each time, and he's genuinely taking a liking to the whole thing.
Yeah, I have to say it's beyond an interest, and it seems like we're on the cutting edge of something new. I hope. I know that the mayor in Long Beach has even put out almost like a challenge to him to Bring your. It's almost like a slapdown kind of a challenge. He says, "Yeah, I'll go up against you any day to improve my city." So maybe we have to shame people into getting safety here.
See, and I would hate to sound kind of callous and anything and everything, but unfortunately it was a good thing for the cycling community when the mayor took that spill when he was out on that ride and that taxi driver cut him off.
Yeah.
See, that's another thing. If it would have been a pedicab driver, he wouldn't have had to brake so hard.
He wouldn't have had to. Never mind. Anyway, well, Active, it's been great talking to you. That was one. Do you have another one that's on the wish list? You get 3.
I get 3. Wow. Damn. I don't know. I wasn't expecting more, man.
Well, you kind of said education at the beginning, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. But I do wish that everybody on all sides of this, anybody that's out on the streets, whether you're walking, skateboarding, cycling, whatever the hell you're doing to get around, you just got to be aware of other modes of transportation.
Oh, wow. That's actually the argument for complete streets, which is something that really did come up at the thing, that a complete street is something that all modes of transportation can use safely, whether you be in a car or on public transportation or riding a bike or walking, right?
With the exception of those motorized bicycles, I mean, I hate them to death, man.
Well, aren't they transportation too? I mean, if somebody's using that to get from point A to B, I know they're regulated. You have to have them licensed. It may not be a full-on, like, every year kind of registration, but you have to go down and at least get them registered, I think, if they're above a certain kind of
I think it's like 49 or 59 cc's.
Yeah. I think that's the case, but it's funny because now, and I would argue that we're seeing, and I'm not advocating for or against, but I like to think that people are using every way they can to get to either work or employment or to get around Los Angeles, and that's their solution. And I'm not going to be the one to say, oh, that solution is any better or any worse than anybody else's.
See, and it's not only getting around, it's getting things around. I mean, I remember a cyclist, Alex, had built this crazy ass bicycle hauling thing with a shopping cart he had, and then you have Woody that and the bike valet crew.
We have to get Woody in here one of these days. He's built some incredible machines for cycling, and not only cycling but for hauling. And I'm not talking simple hauling.
Look at those ladder trailers, man, that the bike valets are using, and they're hauling a bunch of shit.
I've seen him actually, and this is no joke, haul a refrigerator. I'm not talking like a little one. I'm talking like one of those big ones.
Damn. I believe it.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. But so it's not only weight, but he was making good time on it.
And look at all these different types of bikes. I mean, when I was growing up, I only knew these street bikes, the BMXs, the GTs, and I knew some mountain bikes, the Huffies and the Raleighs or something, And now since I've been cycling, I've noticed not only are there street bikes, there's tall bikes, there's road bikes, there's hybrids, there's mountain bikes. And then Joseph has introduced me over at the Flying Pigeon to cargo bikes. What the hell? It's like you're driving with a freaking bucket or a box or something, and these things could carry some serious weight,
Yeah, I think one of our upcoming programs is going to be on working bikes, where it's just everybody that uses their bike either for not just transportation, but they either are moving materials around for employment or for pleasure or something else, and just all the problems they've solved in the communication kind of sphere.
Well, you know what? It's not even the private citizen that's looking into this. I do remember, if not earlier this year or late last year, especially during the holiday season, I do believe it was UPS that was contracting cyclists with trailers to deliver in rural areas.
Right.
I mean, I thought that was amazing, dude. I mean, even for a big multi-billion-dollar corporation like that to take an interest in an alternative way to deliver packaging, I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, if it's not time-sensitive material, it seems like the way to go. But even if it is, sometimes a bicycle, and this is no joke, gets there faster than that huge truck that has to leave that
Oh,
thing.
you're not kidding, dude.
Yeah.
When I first, I mean, I live here in Cypress Park next to the bike oven, and I have to get to Culver City every morning. And when I first started cycling to work, I remember one day I wanted to just test it. I left with plenty of time to get to work because I needed to do an experiment. I waited at the bus stop with my bike, waited for the bus to leave, and then I started cycling. And I went and I did the same route that the bus was going to take all the way to my final destination. And I waited an extra like 30 minutes for that bus to catch up to me.
Wow.
And I go, geez, I would have never thought that. And I got here, I feel great. I don't feel tired at all, and I enjoyed that instead of just sitting on some cramped bus next to somebody that's probably gonna bug the shit out of me,
Yeah, the endorphins kick in and everything, and it's really kind of I mean, we've talked about everything. Maybe this third wish that you're kind of getting around to is health and stuff. You've actually remained pretty healthy cycling, right?
Oh, you know what? That's my doctor's amazed, dude. I was diagnosed years ago with hypertension. I'm a heavy set guy. Plus I like to, I like a good, drink here and there and everywhere, a good Coke, and I enjoy my Tommy burgers. Sorry to all the vegan homies out there, but I'm part of PETA, the People for the Eating of Tasty Animals, and my doctor's amazed.
I don't think that's what it really. That's not the real PETA. Come on.
Oh, it isn't. But check it out. My doctor's amazed. My last four checkups, my blood pressure's been at 120/80, dude.
Uh-huh.
And she accredits it just to cycling because my diet is probably the worst out of most people I know.
Yeah.
It's fast food every day due to work. On top of that, it's all the blazing I do and all the drinking I do, none of that shit's healthy. But I cycle everywhere, and I like to ride my bike every day. And I've upset so many people around me because I'd rather be on my bike doing at least 20, 30 miles, without having to stop every quarter mile. And I refuse to hang out with people because, sometimes I just don't want to kick it and pass the bong around. I really want to be on my bike and just ride,
Okay, well, this isn't Howard Stern. We don't need you to come out and confess anything either. But it's kind of funny because you've touched on a couple topics that we try to tell people about. That was one of the other items that came up at this summit, and it was about trying to get kids. It was funny because I think it was if it was Morphus or one of the guys, they were charting just obesity over just the last 10 years, from the 90s into the 2000s, and it's amazing. It used to be only one state was really what we would call more than 20% obese, and now it's gotten into like every state. There's only one state that isn't 20% obese. So it's kind of strange because we just sort of take it for granted that all this, I mean, we talk about like feeding the homeless. It's like, well, wait a second, what about feeding, your intake on your own? And
well, I mean, look at what happened with the FDA this week. Seriously, pizza is now they're considering making it a vegetable just because it has tomato paste.
Yeah,
come on, dude. It's like the LAUSD saying that you get your vegetables because you're eating, French fries. But I mean, that's just greasy freaking fried food,
I agree. I hang out, and I've been known to hang out at farmers markets, which people tell me is like the first stage towards being a radical. So there you go. I think what they really meant is the first stage towards exercising your free radicals, but they hear radical in the thing and they just sort of put that.
And don't forget that, every Tuesday we got that farmers market bike caravan, coming through and, exposing people to delicious, healthy, organic foods.
Okay, Nick is asking where this is because he doesn't have one of those in his section of town.
What, the farmers market?
Yeah, where's your farmers market?
The one in Highland Park happens on Tuesday, and I believe it's Avenue 58.
Oh, okay.
And Figueroa, it's between Figueroa and the train station.
he thought it was a farmer's market on bicycles, but that might be something we could do in the future, you know?
Well, actually, it's already there. You know, Woody and his buddy Andrew, they end up getting the over-mature products at the farmer's market, or the things that have been bruised a little bit.
I love how you said that, the over-mature. That could be a lot of people. So he takes the over-mature products and he sort of redistributes them around town, right?
Yeah, you know,
kind of like Robin Hood. Yeah.
And it, you know, because these people are gonna throw them away anyways, and you know, they go up there and they take them and they just distribute them along the way. Whatever's left over, I know they drop them off either at one of the missions at Skid Row or a food bank in East LA. So you know, so at times, you know, they could run out of stuff before they reach any of these charities. But the people that get these products are actually, you know, people that are going to eat them and appreciate them and stuff, and whatever's left over, you know, gets appreciated by somebody else. And it's gotten to the point now that sometimes they're running late that, you know, even Brian down the street, you know, and myself, you know, we gave them our numbers that if they're running late, if we're in the neighborhood, we'll go up there and we'll safeguard these products until they come up and pick them up.
Awesome. Well, it sounds like you wear many hats, Mr. Active and stuff, and we want to thank you for calling in here on Bike Talk. Any parting words?
Be safe out there and have a good time, and wear a helmet, please.
Okay. Thanks a lot. And we'll talk to you soon.
All right, I'll see you at the other, man.
All right. Peace out.
Bye.
All right, man. Thanks a lot for calling.
All right, let's put him.
Here you go. Here you go.
Just put a song on.
Okay, it is Bike Talk here. Let me see if I can get the microphone.
Hey, bicycle man is what I am, and proud to be. Who watch my style, well versed I can dilly dally. Who wait I want a penny or 21 past 3. One wheel in the air, we don't care, we really, really. I took a turn on the avenue. Saw this girl that long time I knew. Hey girl, how is the day? Hey, hey. She looked at me and this is what she said. She said, she don't want no bicycle man. Oh, she is looking for a car man. I wanna drive some minivan. I looked at her and smiled a while. Hey, she realized I didn't like her style. Cause bicycle man, that's what I am, and proud to be. Who watch my style, well versed I can dilly dally. Whether want a penny or 21 past 3. One wheel in the air, we don't pay, we really, really. But next day, she see me in a motor car, flagged me down, asked me if I'm going far. I looked at her, do you remember yesterday? She looked at me, and this is what she had to say. Says she don't want no bicycle man, but she is looking for a car man. I want to drive a minivan. I looked at her and smiled a while. Hey, she realized I didn't like her style. Cause bicycle man, that's what I am, and proud to be. Who want from style, well we're second dilly dally. Who would I want a penny or 21 past 3? One wheel in the air, we don't pay, we really, really. I'm riding, Big Crystal on the bike.
Look, it's really low light. So where we at, Patrick? It's just, so these guys.
We're at Queen Anne's
Recreation. Okay, I have to tell you about this. I go, find out where Queen Anne's is. So they pull it up and they give me all the directions. They go, oh man, this is in Culver City. It's off some street in Culver City. It's off whatever. And I go, no. And they go, yeah. Then I look at where they're looking at, right?
The season will start
Queen Anne's.
the 15th.
Seattle, Washington, they're looking at for directions.
Oh, that sounds like a Seattle place.
So there's some huge ass thing in things. But this is the beginning. Just a handful of people here at Queen Anne's. That's right. It's the Thanksgiving / Halloween / preparation for
2012.
No. The toy ride.
Oh, right. The toy ride.
Yeah. And Trick Miller was just showing me some photos of the space. It looks awesome. Everybody's going to have a great time on the 9th, right?
December 9th.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to have a great time.
That's awesome.
Is this going to be on Bike Talk?
This is going to be on Bike Talk if I can transfer tonight.
Awesome. Oh, Bike Talk's tomorrow morning.
Yeah, that means no sleep for the wicked or no sleep for old man or whatever you want to say.
The less you record, the less you have to transfer.
No, it doesn't work that way. You always transfer the whole kit and caboodle.
Hey, that's what you badass, dude.
Actually, we're going to need a bed.
Here's somebody we met earlier.
No.
So Manny,
Yeah.
I caught you.
Yeah.
You caught the ride.
I told you.
We were having some hesitation here.
I told you, don't stress. Don't stress.
Don't stress.
I'll tell them to wait.
Don't worry. I always think, oh, I'm gonna miss it. And it's like beating the snake. You know.
I told him, hey, wait for chicken leather, man. He's on his way.
You're gonna beat the snake. Yeah, dude. yeah.
All right. Sorry for the road warrior kind of intersecting, but this was the beginning of Midnight Riders last week. As we open up some of our mail here at Kill Radio, let's get back to that's right, the beginning of Midnight Riders in the conversation.
Getting more riders out there, more people to ride their bike, not necessarily cyclists. Do you have any kind of suggestion to people out there without even going to this conference?
I don't know, look at yourself in the mirror.
That's a great one. So it's all within us to be a cyclist, I guess.
No, you just look at the flabbiness around you. And that'll get you on a bike. Well, it gets me on a bike.
So just looking at other people out of shape gets you on the bike to sort of take it off?
Yep.
Oh, that's a good one. Shame yourself into riding. I like that.
Yep.
All right, good idea. Went to a conference. See, I wonder how much I damn for all shit.
Well, this is J-Ro, and we're going to get to him in just a second. But one of the things that Nick here brought up. Go ahead.
What? I don't remember what you're talking about. I don't have a mic on.
Oh, I'm sorry. Here, I thought I turned your mic on. There you go.
What did I bring up?
No, this is what Active said. That guy that got hit, but that guy that got hit has a name. He's not just a guy. This is Manny, and Manny is the one that was doing this. And you were commenting. I'm like, hey, Manny showed up, and I go, yeah, he actually gets out a lot. He's just not there to shoot stuff with his iPod when the police are there. Mm-hmm. But no, it's he was looking at the health kind of things, and you were looking at the same thing with health and your kids at school, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, maybe I made a bad point. Here, we're going to move on. Here's J-Bro.
I did get more people on bikes. That would be a tough thing, but
people, not cyclists.
It could be incorporated. And there are jobs out there that for your being healthy, they have like a special program.
So you're saying tie in health with riding your bike, maybe for kids or maybe...
Well, not so much just for them, but for yourself, because
wow, this is a second person.
If you have a medical insurance company and you're out and you're doing the things that you do to keep yourself healthy, cycling, running, swimming, whatever it may be, whatever your cardiovascular activity is, there are jobs, they give you bonuses for that. You just, as the worker, have to look and see if the program is there.
Wow, I like this. So your employer might pay you to ride your bike.
Pay you to go out run, and that way when marathons and triathlons and cycling, races,
you're going the big enchilada here. Yeah,
you can actually apply and submit for those days off of work, and it doesn't count against you.
Awesome. Sounds awesome.
Pretty cool, huh? Yeah.
Tax breaks for cyclists.
Tax breaks for cyclists. That's something somebody brought up, and I'm not going to say who, Chicken Leather, but he kind of brought up the idea that it's like we pay oil companies to drill. We pay other people to do all this stuff. Why aren't we paying bicyclists? They're a resource that's reusable. I mean, I've never seen somebody, just out and say, "Oh, we gotta cut this out of the equation." But look, recyclable, reusable, and it's using technology that's out there now. And you know what's really weird? I get to the same corner on my 40, 50-year-old technology as the Hummer or the Prius. And dude, there wasn't like a research team. Hello? I'm the research team. I'm the guy that greased my own chain and rebuilt the bottom bracket and stuff. So.
I mean, there's no way on a bike you're not as fast as a bus any day of the week. So, you know.
Dude.
Yes.
Tactics
for cyclists.
I like that. I like that. That's somebody suggested that. I suggested,
this guy.
carbon credits.
I heard it was this guy called Turkey Pleather, but but maybe it's the guy you're talking about.
Turkey Pleather.
Is that your alternate ego?
Alternate ego. I like that.
Turkey pleather.
All right, we're cutting you off the. Oh, I thought you were. I saw a Colt 45 around there.
I think that we were talking about the real guns, and that was the other kind of disturbing thing. All the cops this week at the protest, they all had Smith & Wesson bicycles. So I guess Smith & Wesson has broken away from guns, which is probably a good thing, into bicycles, which is kind of a weird thing. They had it branded.
Weird.
Yeah.
Maybe they come with the guns.
Or maybe they just put on the sticker to impress us all. Yes. Maybe they do. For every gun, you get a bike. It's that tie-in.
Yeah.
Well, there were armed librarians in this town, so maybe that's part of it.
What?
Anyway,
Oh.
yeah, we kid about that, but maybe Will call in one of these days. Anyway, it is Kill Radio and KPFK on the podcast. It is Bike Talk. Entering into the second hour, you heard a little bit of Midnight Riders and their ride. This was last week, and the theme was...
hey, Chicken.
Hey, yeah.
Do you want to answer one of our Facebook questions?
I do. We're gonna get to that shortly. There's a couple of repair questions that we're gonna address. Just want to mention about the Midnight Riders. We heard about the toy ride that's going on, and I guess it's next month because this is November already. So next month is the toy ride in December, and it's the second week, and a lot of things are always jam packed into that first and second week in December.
So is this the second Saturday?
So it's actually a second Friday of the month, so it's the 9th. But I bring it up because it's just an unwrapped toy, and a lot of times we just drag people over to the CVS to buy toys if they don't have toys for the thing. But it's a fun ride, all city bike ride. And at this point, I should put on the old one where it rained, and we still had tons of fun with not only Roadbox playing, the Huffingtons, but a couple other people that showed up, including, I'm trying to remember all the rest of the bands, but they were fun. It was not only bands, but food and all manner of cycle kind of amenities. Anyway, and by that I mean there were patch kits and all sorts of stuff. I think the bike oven's going to step it up too, and we're going to talk about that later. Or you'll see. Anyway, yeah. So this was pretty fun. This Midnight Riders, but it was fun for a couple reasons. A small group, dedicated group, and as stated, the theme was it was almost like a kind of Thanksgiving / Day of the Dead. Boy, they're just rolling them all into each other, I'm sure. But anyway, Nick asked me if I was going to explain this, and I think some of it is self-explanatory. It's just that kind of thing.
I think you should only play the self-explanatory parts.
Okay, Nick. Here we go.
Grazie.
I'm thanking Italian people right there. Is that a self-explanatory?
No, well, yeah.
Because the rules of the road keep me safe. I like to follow the rules of the road because the rules of the road keep me
Try to
safe.
keep it behind the cars. We don't like to be dicks. Apparently you do.
Hey, speaking of dick, they just came out with Richard Nixon's transcripts. Believe it or not, one night he was all depressed and he went to the Lincoln Memorial, and he goes to Lincoln Memorial and there's all these young kids, and they go, "Hey, Mr. Nixon, you got to end this war." And he goes, "Aren't you serious about ending this war?" He says, "Well, I think about it all the time." Pretty awesome, huh? Whoa!
And I'm using for a source the New York Times on that. Apparently, it's in his transcripts coup that was just made available to the Library of Congress, which is pretty incredible. So they're coming out with this. But the reason I brought it up is, besides talking about, everybody thinks we just talk about crap, but here we are talking about Nixon. I thought your mic was up.
No, I think you should stick to bikes.
There you go. I think
How about
we should
answering
stick
the
to bikes.
Facebook question?
We are going to answer the Facebook question. See, we're jumping around trying to not answer the Facebook question, but we do know about it. Two things. Somebody asked me about.
You refer to yourself as we?
Somebody asked us. Us, you, me, we. Not we, me. We, us.
Okay.
Oh, never mind. Anyway, two questions. Marina Pichenko, is that it? Pichaco?
Either that or
You're the teacher that's supposed to know everybody's name.
It depends if it's Italian or Spanish.
I'm thinking it's just Marina, right?
Uh-huh.
And Marina had a question about her. She says her spokes are loose and they make a noise when she rides. If it's easy to, is it easy to fix? And yeah, it's easy to fix.
Sure.
And we could send you to a bike shop, and
I could almost do that. I could almost fix my own
You
spokes.
can almost fix your spokes. Well, the thing is, if they're loose, you want to get them to the proper tension, and they have these things called a tension meter. It's a cool little thing. We have one over at the Bike Oven, but they have them at a lot of the bike collectives. I would suggest going to a bike collective near you, only because the bike shop, while they do know their stuff, they may charge you a little bit more than you really need to.
So her question was, do I need a special tool or should I take it to a shop?
I think she could get, if she has a spoke wrench, it's not a special tool, a spoke wrench and a book about...
a spoke wrench is a special tool.
How to do it. I don't think a spoke wrench is an expensive tool.
No, special.
It is a special tool, yes. Special.
It's a species of tool.
Special tool. Yeah, it is special.
It's a spatial tool.
A special tool, but...
we're sounding like freaking
But you could
crack now.
use... And I'm going to relate this thing. One time, on one of these Midnight Riders ride, a guy got tacoed by another bike rider, and his wheel was horrible. And why we're trying to explain where the blue line is, so he could get back and give up the ride, Black Woman Sidekick got down with two... She didn't have a spoke wrench. She didn't have it. She had... And this is really funny. She had a wrench, a regular wrench. I think it was, like an adjustable wrench. And she had just pinch nose pliers. And literally, she took the wheel from being like totally unrideable to where, he released his brakes, but he could still ride. And so instead of just like giving it up and trying to find the blue line, within the time we told her, we explained to this guy where the blue line was, she had his wheel trued, which I thought was pretty incredible.
Wow.
She's that
awesome.
good.
So you guys are like just mobile, like good Samaritans.
Well, that was one of those rides that we were on. So anyway, we're going to bring up the sound now. I think this is
wait. So Marina,
your
answer is
before we get back to the Midnight Riders. What do we say?
As you speak. What do I say?
You say, Marina, there's a simple fix. You can purchase a spoke wrench for less than $10, I think. They're even less than that if you have a specific size. I think they even come in different colors for different sizes. So depending on which one, you can get one specific to your bike.
So it has
but
to
if
be,
you can't,
it has to be the right size.
How
does she know what size?
Exactly, you have to size your thing. So you could take it to a bike collective or a bike shop and get the right size wrench, and it shouldn't be too much money. But if you don't know how to do this, you could go to one of the bike collectives, and I'm thinking Bikerowave, Bike Kitchen, Bike Oven, Bike Sands in the Valley, the Bikery, the Green Bike Project out in Claremont. You really want the rest of them. No, they're all around, all these bike collectives. The Bike Hub, Long Beach. I mean, they sit around and they won't be that expensive.
There's a map.
But if you go to these collectives, a lot of times they will have spoke wrenches there. So you just have to pay for the stand time and the expertise.
Okay, what?
If you go to a bike collective, you only have to pay for the stand time. So I would direct her towards one of the local bike collectives in her town. Ask her where she lives, if you could, or what area she lives. What's her zip code?
All right.
So
there's a bike collectives map out there.
Is there?
Yeah.
Wow, that's really
It's
creative.
on our kpfk.org web BikeTalk page.
Awesome. Well, there's the telephone. Let me see what's playing. We're going to play a little bit more of this until we get to that phone.
Whoa, more crap. Pothole, pothole. Call it out, pothole. More potholes. Bad ones, bad pothole. Evil pothole. Evil, bad. Horrible pothole.
So it is Kill Radio. While we get through the pothole sequence and KPFK on the podcast, we have a phone call. Yeah, Nick is telling me I should really do something about that. Hi.
Hi.
And we have on the phone
Alice.
Alice
Strong.
Alice, the question we've been asking a lot of people is, the Bike Summit was last week, and
The Bike Summit.
yeah, there was
Summit.
there was the California Bike Summit with it was a California Bike Coalition Summit with all these people around town.
I missed that.
Yeah, it was. Let's be honest. It was kind of popped on us too, but it was all the bike coalitions within the county.
I know.
and
I
the
wanted to
cities.
go, and I was going to go, but then I couldn't because I live in South Del Monte.
Yeah,
and I've
there's
been
a lot
going
of
to a
people
lot
came-
of city hall meetings and stuff, right?
Right.
So our mayor was going to lead a ride that day. So I discussed it with other people from the San Gabriel Valley Bicycle Coalition because I was going to just go, to the summit. They said, no, you should do this ride with the mayor since he agreed to do this mayor's ride. He's going to do this ride every month, which is kind of neat.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
So I stayed, and then it rained, so the ride didn't happen. The summit didn't happen for me, but I heard that it was really great. There was a lot of really interesting stuff. I was following the tweets because Wes from our group was tweeting.
Right, and we always forget that sort of the inland empire. I call it. It's not really inland empire, but it's inland from us.
We're San Gabriel Valley.
Yeah, it's just it's kind of east of us, and we kind of always forget that they're out there.
Another valley. I call it the other valley because people say the valley, but we have a valley too. Or else when people talk about the east side, it's like the San Gabriel Valley is really sort of the east side.
Right.
Far east. But to me, it's sort of like a sleeping giant that's kind of starting to wake up. I don't know if you've been following a lot of the bike stuff that's going on now, but there's a whole kind of movement to get bike plans in all these towns that really haven't thought about it much. Like Temple City has an amazing bike plan now that includes separated lanes on Rosemead Boulevard, this really huge overbuilt street. Alhambra just announced they were going to have a bike plan, and they're a city that hasn't done anything. It's really kind of exciting. And like my little town, the mayor wants to go for a bike ride now every month. So it's like this whole bike wave, is kind of making its way out here. Before there was sort of Cycle was doing a few things in the San Gabriel Valley, but you really didn't hear about LACBC doing much. So now they're moving, they've got all their branches they're starting, like ours, in the San Gabriel Valley.
So Alice, are you the one that posted this thing about the SX70?
Yeah, I am. I did. Yes, you noticed. No one commented. I thought, Jesus, is nobody else in love with these cameras? But I have a huge collection that I'm selling on eBay right now.
Well, okay. You're going to say, why would I mention this on a bicycle show? But
That's okay. I know you're a photo
no,
fanatic,
I
and so
can.
am I.
I can draw the parallel. It's funny because we always think of experimental kind of scientific things being sort of relegated to let's just say skunk works and other things. But this is one of those things. Polaroids, they inherently were kind of on this back burner for everybody. It was like some kid thought this idea up, believe it or not. There's a great book out about Land and his daughter, just
she said, "How come we can't see the picture right now, Daddy?"
Exactly, and it's that same kind of wow kid kind of fascination and everything that I think also kind of surrounds bicycles. It's like, well, why aren't we there yet?
Yeah,
and you always hear kids
that's a
asking
big
that.
dream, you know.
And now when people ask that, I always say, well, we're in a car. We're not on a bicycle. We would have been there if we were on a bicycle. Everybody always looks at me like, oh, God, are we really going to fight about this, which is the better way of transportation? And I tell them, yeah, we're really going to fight about this in the car.
That's funny.
So tell us more about your SX70 collection.
Oh, I don't know. What do you want to know about it? I mean, I'm keeping the one that I grew up with. My dad bought one, you know, in the 70s. He bought the Model 2, you know, the one, not the chrome one, the sort of beige and brown one. And he engraved his name on it. You know, my dad died about 30 years ago, but I still have his Polaroid, which is really cool.
Oh.
But I loved them so much, and I used to collect. I had about 20 of them, and all the accessories and everything, stuck away in a drawer.
So instead of the cameras themselves, which are kind of great things to have around, what about the pictures? Were there any?
I've got a lot of pictures. In fact, I'm looking at one that I took. Actually, my daughter was about 5 years old, and she took a picture of me taking a picture in Joshua Tree and she took it with an SX70 camera. And I had all this old film, expired film I was experimenting with, so it really looks weird. You know, it's like the whole SX70 thing has a little experimental quality to it anyway, which is why it's so popular right now. It's sort of having this resurgence, I guess, you know, with the Impossible Project. And
well, I was kind of trying to guide the conversation into, we've seen some of these pictures of SX70s, bicycles that were taken by an SX70, and pretty fantastic stuff. Did you take some of these, or is this not your picture here that we're looking at?
Did I take a picture of what?
Bicycles. Some bicycle rides.
Oh, no, I didn't. Where is that? Where are you seeing that?
Somebody's going out and doing this. We saw a photo about that on one of the websites here.
Is that South Omani?
I don't know if it's South Omani, but it looks like somewhere. Actually, it looks more like downtown. Oh, it's a picture of you. Oh, it's just a picture of you. Oh,
of me?
We thought it was at the Bike Summit ride. You did the ride, but you didn't go into the thing.
No, that's probably not me. What are you looking at?
We're looking at some. There's a tagged photo online. Anyway, what I was trying to say is, you didn't take, with all those cameras, you didn't take one of you on a bicycle?
Not of me. No, not with a Polaroid. I don't think. I have a lot of pictures of me on a bike, especially when I was younger. But I don't think I don't think there's any SX70s. Oh.
Well, it's photography and bicycles go back really far. I think it's that same kind of.
Yeah, and you could almost say the SX70 is sort of a cool invention, like the bicycle. You know, it's one of those really perfect machines, sort of.
Yeah, they're still around. Actually, you could still get film for them and everything too, which a lot of people don't think. You don't have to buy used film. I think somebody's making new film.
Right, the Impossible Project.
Right.
But it's so expensive.
Integral pack film. Yeah, see, everybody always looks at it like it's really expensive, but I kind of argue the thing that if you shoot a lot of digital pictures, I know people that shoot hundreds of digital pictures, and yet they never, you know, it's always go to the computer. There's never anything around. You know, they might have 2 or 3, but I always go to people's houses, and if they've taken a Polaroid, bang, it's up on their refrigerator. It's in their wall or something.
That's a good point.
It's the same thing. So it's like, well, you know, the 3 or 4 that you do print are out there.
And, you know, also the color was pretty stable in the SX70s, really, compared to the C41 prints.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The as long as you didn't put it in the sun or let it rot or burn it in a movie or something like that, it pretty much it survives time if you kind of treat it like a photography instead of something on your fridge. Anyway, so bicycles out in San Gabriel. What a concept!
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
Have you ever been on the San Gabriel River Trail? I don't know if I asked you that before.
I think I've been on part of it, but inadvertently, because it was like we were riding somewhere and somebody said, "Oh, it's faster to get there by here," and it was just like one of those like bang, where it was like a 5-minute kind of thing, and I said, "Wow, that was fast. What was that?" And they said, "Oh, that was we cut across through the river thing." So it's like, whereas I have to go out of my way in Los Angeles to get to the river kind of thing, in San Gabriel it's kind of like, oh yeah, you can use it to get around San Gabriel, which I thought was kind of unique.
Some parts, yeah, some parts. It's just really beautiful.
Yeah.
I got to get more people to come out and just so they can say they've ridden on it. Like maybe an east meets west ride, sort of.
Right, and it's funny you should mention that. Today, I'm looking at the streets out here in the sky. There's fluffy clouds. This looks like one of those days when you really can't get into your car. I mean, you can, but you're...
Let's see.
Oh, man, it's just beautiful out there. Everybody thinks it's going to rain, which is kind of cool because that just keeps more people out of...
Wow, it is nice.
Yeah.
It's really pretty.
Fluffy clouds and stuff. So, having said that, Alice, we're going to bring this around to the fact that there's some other pictures of you at Ciclavia and enjoying it. And one of the things that they were asking at the summit, which is the first question I was going to ask, was, what do you have a wish? Do you have, if you had 3 wishes, what would one of those wishes be to make it easier for people to cycle, not necessarily cyclists?
You mean right now?
Yeah.
In Los Angeles?
Yeah.
I would like to see more. I would like to see the laws changed a little bit so we had a lot more stricter liability than we have now. It seems like it's really awful if a cyclist gets hit by a car because it seems like the drivers just can say, "Oh man, I just didn't see him." It's an accident, and that seems okay with people. They seem to nod their head and say, "Oh yeah, we understand." Okay, and I think that would be a major change. If I could just change one thing right now, it would be that anybody that drives a car takes their responsibility to drive safely a lot more seriously, and they get off their cell phones and they slow down and they just start really, really paying attention and being aware of how much damage they can do with their vehicle. Anyway, that would be the main thing I would want.
That came out in one of the breakout discussions at the thing. Somebody said, "Hey, why can't we do that? They do it in other countries. The liability is if you hit somebody, you're at fault, regardless if the bicycle guy was doing something ridiculous or something. You should actually make some allowances for that." But most of the time, people are just riding safe. It's like car drivers are just trying to get somewhere in a hurry or something. It seems when bicyclists are hit or something like that. Anyway, any other kind of wishes before we go? I'm putting you on the spot.
That everybody that has a bicycle sitting around collecting dust actually gets on it and takes a little ride this year.
My God! Now see, that's goes back to I think it was Christopher Maphis who was talking about this. He said, or Morphus, excuse me. He was talking about the idea that people have all these things laying around, but yet if you pull them out and use them every once in a while, it might be a incentive for other people to use them and stuff. Almost like that thing that our friend was talking about. You're sort of shamed to do better. You look around and you see everybody not doing something, so it's like, hey, start that movement on the bike, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think, it's picking up so much momentum. I think the next decade's going to be so wonderful and fascinating as far as transportation in America. I don't know. There's so much to talk about, huh? I mean, it's if it continues to gain momentum, I mean, you've been around for a few years. You've seen it changing, right?
I hope, yeah. Well, I've seen certain parts of it change. I think the social rides have gotten, if anything, more mainstream and more refined than I ever thought they would be.
Well, look at what's happening with the younger kids. You know, like they're buying less cars. It's not as important for them to drive. You know, like the teens and the people in their 20s.
There's almost a socialization. It was always like get your car so you can. There's almost that you have to have a car to go out and be part of a accepted, quote unquote, kind of coming of age kind of thing. So it's like you get rid of your bicycle the minute you get your driver's license. And now we're seeing just the opposite. People aren't even getting cars. They're just sort of, not only has the insurance kind of thing, which I'm not anti-insurance, but I'm anti when it comes to the fact that they bleed you. And if you do anything wrong, it's like, oh, don't report this to your insurance company, which is just the opposite of what insurance was for. It was supposed to be like, it's supposed to keep you safe. It's not supposed to be some sort of hidden thing you only pull out when you really screw up or something. And that in itself has contributed to, I think, more dangerous driving, more like leave the scene of a crime or something. If people would just take it upon themselves to say, hey, look, the insurance company does not have to like rake you for every dime if you create an accident. Now you have to be insured. I mean, it used to be there was almost like you have to get some insurance, but now it's mandatory. And I think the minute they made it mandatory, they eliminated a huge block of society where people even ride illegally and stuff. Go ahead.
No, I wasn't saying anything.
Well, it's funny because Nick here is telling me to let her talk, and it's like I
was actually trying to be a polite listener.
Which is what we aim to do here.
No, it's great. It's supposed to be a dialogue. Actually, Active is messaging me on my Facebook page. He says, I'm listening to you on Bike Talk.
Well, there you go.
So let's talk about him.
Well, we did.
There was a movie out, and I heard Active was in it. I haven't seen it. There was a screening in Ventura. It's on the Ghost Bikes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, so they've been going around to the little local things. They made that where he was part of that, and I think it was the one where he was in Pasadena, and then there's been a few where he's actually built those bikes.
Yeah. Well, you were at that ride. You were at the ride that we did for Alan, the memorial ride.
Alan Dean.
And they were filming, so you're probably in this movie too.
Yeah.
That Kat and Danny made.
Yeah.
Danny Gamboa.
Absolutely. They've been working on that for a while. I haven't seen it. I know that they've been working on it now for like a labor of love for about a year or so.
Yeah, I'm waiting for it to be in L.A.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I think they're sort of screening it around just to get it, because they're from Long Beach now. They moved out to Long Beach. I think they had enough of L.A.'s promises and finally said, L.A., Long Beach is actually doing it. And that was their thing, and I don't think we could change fast enough until they were there. So, yeah. This is another feather in Mr. Gandy's hat, so to speak. So, but Alice, as we wrap up here, just any parting words? What are you doing this weekend on a bicycle?
What am I doing? Well, let's see. What am I doing? I really haven't decided. There's another memorial ride tomorrow for Alan Dean that's going to be leaving from the Bike Kitchen.
Uh-huh.
I may do that. I don't know. I got to catch up with some work here. I've been so busy with meetings and running around. I'll always ride the bike though. I'll ride up to the store, if nothing else.
Oh, which is great. That's what I went on a bike ride the other day, and Cycle was advocating that kind of suggestion. And then
short rides. I know they always did that, and that's. Yeah, that kind of goes along with like dusting off the bike. If everybody had one that's sitting in the garage, actually rode it up to the library, even if it was just one errand they did, one day out of the week, it would make such a huge difference.
Yes, and just the amount of petrol and all the rest of the stuff you'd save. I know the same discussion was raised, I think, last week on one of the local radio stations, and everybody was kind of blinded by bike safety and bike and all this stuff, and they just sort of missed the fact that that's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about like the safety factor or cyclists being, taking up the road or anything like this. I mean, they have a right to the road. All the listeners totally missed it. It's like, no, you're arguing for the fact that if you get out of your car, you can save some gas. That's what we're saying. And there's all these other benefits from it, but
they were missing it for the fact that they were so pro-car. And I say that. There's a difference between pro-something and anti-something. I'm not anti either. It's just that I think that a lot of times the fastest way to get there is your bike.
It is, and the most fun. I mean, that's the main thing that I like about riding the bike. Even though people, you got to be very careful on the street and ride real defensively, to me it's still a heck of a lot more fun than driving. It's just, people feel good on a bike. It's like a stress reliever where a car is a stress creator. Anyway, maybe we should end on that.
I think that's a great way to end it.
Go out and relieve your stress. Have a nice bike ride. Like you said, it's really beautiful today. Perfect day to be out riding.
That's exactly what it is. It's a great stress reliever, and it's actually a good idea. You've actually hit on the point that I think the chairman was making at this conference, that we overlook the fun factor a lot of times with bikes, and that it sells itself almost. If you get somebody on a bike, you don't have to convince them. It's fun.
Hey,
well, Alice,
Active is telling me on Facebook to have you look at the pictures of Alan's ghost bike.
Okay, we're gonna take a look or mention it here.
Okay.
I want to thank you, Alice, for talking to us.
Hey, it was great to talk to you, and I'll see you around the bike oven.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks a lot.
So Marina says her zip code is 90255. Do you know where that is?
I think that's out. Is that West Side? Can we get a map?
Yeah.
Check that out. Okay, we'll get a map. We're gonna check that out. Hey, we've been talking about all this bike summit and everything. Here's the first day intro with Alexis.
Go ahead and take a seat, and we're gonna get started here. I'm Alexis Lance. I am the Planning and Policy Director for the Los Angeles County Bicycle Coalition. I am also a board member for the California Bicycle Coalition. And I'd love to welcome you today. So thank you so much for attending the 2011 California Bike Summit. I'm so excited to see so many advocates, club leaders, allies, and supporters from around California here in Los Angeles for this event. It's pretty exciting. This weekend's events are really about building our strength and coming together to understand the issues that we are all challenged with at the local, regional, and state level, and also, which other folks will mention later, at the national level. Because our transportation bill, Senate transportation bill, was released yesterday, so we'll probably talk about that a little bit as well. So over the next few hours and days, the California Bicycle Coalition really wants to hear from you. And we're also really excited to hear from our allies who are working on similar issues at the state and national level, who are here with us this weekend as well, so that they can share with us what they are working on and how we can work together to create a more bikeable and livable California and country. As a local advocate here in Los Angeles, I approached the CBC about having a bike summit, a California bike summit, after attending last year's Alliance for Biking and Walking Leadership Retreat in Chattanooga, Tennessee. And so I have to thank the Alliance. They are, for those who, I hope everyone here is a member of the Alliance for Biking and Walking. They're a really fantastic organization, and Jeff's going to talk in a minute. But one of the things they really do is bring people together and help build capacity, and that's something that I really felt like we need to be doing here in California as well. Because there are so many advocates from around California who are doing amazing things, and it took going to Tennessee for me to meet many of them. And I felt like, we should be meeting in California, and we should be learning from each other, because we are facing a lot of the same issues. We deal with the same environmental laws, a lot of the same things. And so we should really be learning from each other about how we can create change in our communities, how we can create change in our region, and how we can create change in our state. And so after I talked with a lot of my fellow advocates at the leadership retreat, and it was a continuing conversation in the months afterwards, and I sort of stalked the CBC. I was like, we need to have a state summit to come together so we can really share our struggles and successes. And really, part of it for me is as a local advocate, I really see the need to create change at the state level. So many of the things that we face as local advocates are changes that need to happen legislatively at the state level. And so for me, really, it's about creating a stronger statewide bicycle advocacy movement, and it's also about creating a stronger California Bicycle Coalition. And so I talked with Dave and Chris and the board members, and who I'll introduce in a moment. And they agreed. They felt that this was something we really needed to be doing, and they put me on their board. So that I could help make this happen. And so I'm really pleased today to see all of you here and see this idea, which began in Tennessee and grew over the months and got further elaborated on in Wyoming at a special executive retreat of the Alliance for Biking and Walking. And I'm really excited for this weekend for us to really start working together, to share our struggles, to really identify the issues that we can change at the state level and figure out what kind of policy platform we can have for the next year and the years to come to create the change we need to see, so that we can really live in healthier, more livable, and more bikeable communities. And so without much further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Chris Morfus, our board president for the California Bicycle Coalition.
So we're going to hear from Mr. Morfus. It sounds like we're in the Matrix again, isn't it? Morfus.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, we're going to hear from Chris in a minute. But we wanted to get back to what was the closest bike collective to 9225?
I thought we were still trying to figure that out.
Yeah, we figured it out. It's going to be probably the Bike Oven in Northeast Los Angeles. So you can text her the fact that it's at 37 Figueroa. I think Huntington Park is one of those ones that's in a hole right there. There's probably some better bike shops. I know there's, if she wanted to purchase the tool, she could go to someplace like InCycle. I think there's one actually out that way by her, or Performance or something, and actually buy the tool. But if she lacks the expertise, I would say just come to the Bike Oven. Today from 1 to 4 we'll be there, but you can always check into that.
That's it, 1 to 4?
Just 1 to 4, yeah. That's why I'm always rushing out of here to get over there. You're looking at me like I'm probably not going to be there the whole day today. I have something to do in between that time, so I'll open it up, run away, and then come back and close. See how that works? Mm-hmm. It is Bike Talk here on Kill Radio and KBFK on the podcast. Hey, do you want to hear more about the bike? There's a great thing that Chris Morfus does right now.
Yeah,
talking about this. We haven't gotten to the 3 points that people want to take away from this, but you heard some from Midnight Riders, and you'll hear more today on Talk is Still Cheap from 6 to 8. That's the public affairs show we do. Also, a little bit of the bike program down at the Occupy LA, which is renamed itself from Bike Toaster. Anyway, you're looking at me like perplexed, like where am I going with this?
No.
All right, here we go.
Cool.
More from Chris Morfus.
Thank you very much, Alexis, and my thanks to all of you for being here today. You had some options today, and yet here you are, and it reflects the great dedication and talent we have within our bicycle community in California. It is my honor and pleasure to serve you as the president of the California Bicycle Coalition Board of Directors. I see a few of my fellow board members in the room today. Could you stand up for a moment? Got a few in the front row. So we've got Alexis and Charlie and Andrew, Stephen Vance. So these are people who serve the California bicycling community out of a great personal sense of dedication and service. They do so at no insignificant expense of time and money. Most of them travel out of their own pocket to meetings and spend hours every month on the phone hashing out details of making an organization successful. I'm really grateful to all of them. I'm grateful as well to all of you. Just seeing all of you, your smiling faces today, your energy, it really does make it all worthwhile. And so that's really why, 2 reasons why we're here today. Really, for all of you, this is a chance for you to meet your peers from around the state, get jazzed, find out what's happening around the state, take home some lessons learned, go home a better advocate than you arrived. And you're also here for us, for which we're grateful. The California Bicycle Coalition has a very proud history. I want to take a few minutes and tell you about that today, and then talk about the future a little bit, and why the next couple of days are so important for that. So this is an organization that has accomplished quite a bit in the state capitol, in Sacramento, and around the state. By now, we're all Safe Routes to School experts. Well, it was only in 1999 that the CBC was approached with the idea of co-sponsoring legislation that became really America's first ever significant infrastructure investments in Safe Routes to School. After that legislation passed, the state started spending $20 or $25 million per year on those sidewalks and bike trails and other infrastructure to make it easier for kids to get to school. And then our dear friends in Marin County, Wendy Callens, I think, is in the room, and Deb Huffsmith and others ran with that idea and launched this massive education effort in Marin County and took it national, and with allies helped create this national Safe Routes to School program. But make no mistake, CBC was at the very beginning of the program that really served as the primary template for what became a $600 million Safe Routes to School program. We're also one of the few states that uses a sliver of its gas tax money for bike projects. So when you buy some gas at the pump, a little of it goes to make the road safer for people who bicycle via something called the Bicycle Transportation Account. And CBC created that and has extended that legislation and that program. And taken together over the last 12 years, we've now seen just the state Safe Routes to School money in that Bicycle Transportation Account total roughly $300 million worth of bike lanes, trails, and sidewalks, making California communities better places for active transportation. So, the organization has had its ups and downs, and a little over a year ago, a core group got together and expressed its dissatisfaction at the state of the organization, and we came up with this idea to really kick things into a higher gear again. And so we called it the relaunch. And I'm here to share some of the results of that relaunch. In short, it's safe to say that the CBC rocket ship has ignited. We have achieved liftoff, and we are close to attaining a sustainable orbit. And what does that mean? Well, it means that, for example, we brought on our first full-time, highly professional executive director in many years. Dave Snyder in the room here? There he is. Dave, stand up. Dave Snyder, along with our communications director, Jim Brown, have really just formed an outstanding team for us in Sacramento in advancing legislation, getting the word out around the state about what's happening. We've got a reinvigorated board of directors. Dave and the board together have really professionalized our operations. Everything from budgeting to our bylaws to all the fun stuff that goes along with running a nonprofit organization. We really do have our house pretty much in order at this point. We're really pleased. It really puts us in a good position to go forward. We had a great year at the Capitol this year. 2011 is the best year we've had in a long time. I'll give you a couple of highlights. You might have heard about this 3-foot passing bill. Didn't get signed, but it was a fabulous and successful endeavor for us in terms of reestablishing our presence at the Capitol. We visited all 120 Assembly and Senate offices. We met with the governor's staff. We met with the CHP, the AAA, the Caltrans, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And we are once again a presence in the Capitol because of that 3-foot bill. And obviously, folks heard about it. It gave us a little bit of some branding, et cetera, around the state. Didn't get signed. We'll likely come back with another crack at it. Of course, that's why you're here, to tell us what we should be doing in the future. We had a real victory. I want to tell you that while the 3-foot bill was our most prominent piece of legislation over the past year, I want to tell you about a quiet but important victory that is going to pay dividends for this movement for the next 20 years. I won't bore you with too many acronyms, but there's been for 60 years there's been a committee that advises Caltrans on what kind of roadway signs we should have, how should traffic signals work, what sort of roadway marking should we have. For 60 years, it's been AAA and the CHP and others and some local traffic, transportation engineers that have ruled that committee. Well, we had a bill that would have put 2 new members on that committee to represent the interest of a non-motorized transportation community. And Dave and our Jim and our consultant team did a fabulous job moving that bill. That bill was on the verge of success when we took the bill out. We did that because Caltrans saw the light. They saw what was coming. They saw a signature coming on that bill, and they offered to implement the bill without the bill. That is a victory. They saw the light. They said, we're going to implement these changes on our own. They can claim credit for it now. That's fine. But they are undergoing a process right now. Highly qualified people, traffic engineers who are friendly, many people we know and love, friendly to walking and biking, have applied for that position. They've got numerous applications, and by January of this coming year, we're going to have people who think the way we do, actually offering official input in Caltrans on these facilities and such. That's not a explosion of a victory. I understand it's not the sexiest thing, but it is going. We are now in place to do what Ryan Snyder, LA transportation planner, many of you know, talks about getting into the DNA of how transportation is done, and that's what we're doing with this bill. We're gonna start to rewrite the rules about how we do our transportation system. So, thank you for your support on that one. So, we have had a successful relaunch. I want to say as well, we met our financial numbers here. I want to be clear, we're don't have any extra money, but we met our budget for the year, and we're very, very pleased with that, and with very good prospects for 2012 and beyond. I want to make that clear to folks. And that's been due to no small part to the support of so many people who have helped us this past year. The bike industry has stepped up in a way we've never seen before. Entities such as Shimano, and SRAM, and Dahan, and Trek, and Turn, and Specialized, and more than I can remember, Bikes Belong, more than I can remember, have stepped up with serious contributions, major 4- and 5-figure contributions to the organization, for which we're very, very grateful. We've had house parties around the state. Anybody attend a house party this past year for CBC? A few of you. We had half a dozen or more, 8 or 9 good house parties around the state, very successful. And perhaps most importantly, I hope I'm not assuming too much, and I think this organization over the past year has regained the trust of the larger community that we serve. We are now working more cooperatively with local coalitions than we have in many, many years, and really here today in part to figure out how we're going to play together going forward. So to sum up, we are now prepared to launch a process by which in September of next year, 2012, at the National Pro Walk Pro Bike Conference, which will be taking place in Long Beach. At that time, we are going to announce a 5-year strategic plan for the California Bicycle Coalition, and what we hope is an integrated statewide movement with the CBC and its local ally friends, local coalition friends, working together in common cause towards a bicycle-friendly California. Your presence today is very significant as part of that process, because we want to hear from you about what it is we should be doing as a statewide movement in Sacramento, programmatically around the state. So I thank you very, very much for being here today. We're going to exit this conference a couple of days from now better educated about bike advocacy and ready to move forward together as a statewide movement. With that, it is my great pleasure to introduce our next speaker. Dave, it's your show.
I just wanted to let people know so they don't freak out when they walk outside they don't see their bikes for logistical reasons. We're moving all of the bikes into the room right adjacent to it. So we'll take care of
Bike auction fundraiser.
All right.
Buy your bike back.
Dave, you get a pass for that. If you were going to tell folks where the restrooms were, I was going to be a little bummed, but that's all right. That was a worthwhile interruption. Thank you. Let me say one more thing before I interrupt Jeff. Introduce Jeff. I'm the one that got interrupted. I'm introducing, not interrupting. We got our work cut out for us. Governor Brown's veto of our 3-foot bill caught us a little bit by surprise. I don't think Governor Brown is anti-bicycle. I think he got some bad advice, and I think he chose to follow it. He needs to be held accountable for that. We're going to come back at him, likely with a 3-foot bill. Again, that's in large part up to you and what you instruct us to do these next couple of days. I suspect with some bigger things, we're going to come back at him as well. He's going to be tested around that veto and his support for the kinds of environmental policies for which he has been a well-deserved, recognized national and international leader for so many years. We have some work to do convincing him that bicycling is a part of that. We're also getting some news out of Washington, which is a bit discouraging. So every 5 or 6 years, the federal government passes a big transportation bill. Carl Sagan type numbers, billions and billions. We've had some successes with that federal program over the years. Much of the money that your regions, your cities end up using for bike paths and bike trails has its root source in a sliver of the federal transportation pie we've achieved over the years. We're getting some news about a version of a new bill emerging from the Senate via a committee chaired by our own Barbara Boxer, which is not good in terms of the way that the bicycling and pedestrian programs that have been so important for the building of this movement are being treated under this proposal. What we're seeing is not really acceptable to I suspect, to the walking and bicycling community. That's something we're going to have to consider today. This is sort of breaking news in the last 24 hours, and so that's something for all of you to consider today. How important. I want you to learn a little bit about how important these federal programs are. Over the course of the next day or two, I want you to consider, how much of CBC's resources might be devoted over 2012 to protecting those programs versus efforts at the state capitol. We have to make some difficult choices. We can't yet do it all. So I want to plant those seeds with you while I'm up here as well. Our next speaker is someone with whom I've had the great pleasure of sharing long bike rides and numerous bike advocacy adventures. He really is one of our most treasured assets within the bicycling movement. In brief, Jeff Miller has managed, among many other things, to bicycle around the world, to make the Maine Bicycle Coalition one of the truly model state-level bicycle organizations really over the past 20 years in this country. And in recent years, has ascended to the executive directorship of the Alliance for Biking and Walking, the national alliance of more than 100 organizations working at the state and local levels to advance walking and bicycling. It is our great privilege to have Jeff here today. And I want to say that Jeff has overcome many obstacles in life, including just an innately very shy personality. So what I do believe, though, is that if we give him a warm enough welcome, we stand a chance of drawing him out of his shell and having him provide us with the sort of energetic boost that might launch this event into a very successful conclusion. So with that, it's my great pleasure to introduce to you the Executive Director of the Alliance for Biking and Walking, the one and only Jeffrey Miller.
Well, we only have a few minutes here. We're going to hear from Jeff. Here, let me see how long this is. It's about a good half hour. We're going to play a couple minutes there as just a highlight for it. Jeff had some interesting numbers here. And in fact, I call the segment by the numbers. We'll try to get to it. Part of it tonight on Talk is Still Cheap, and maybe we'll play a little bit of it now until we get out of here. We're just looking at some of the feeds coming out of the Occupy Wall Street movement here, and just some of the commentary and stuff. So that being said, BikeTalk is, I guess, a proponent of occupying the studio here. Would you say that, Nick?
Yeah, I'm occupying this chair.
There you go. It's occupied is getting thrown around. Maybe I occupy the streets when I'm bicycling. Have you ever thought about that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's about claiming your space.
Ah, well, there you go. I thought it was also about if you're doing something right, getting noticed for it, or vice versa. If you're doing something wrong, then calling that out, and that's what a lot of the movement is.
So I think we've had a good show. Is there anything else that you wanted to do before we?
Well, I just want to remind people that coming up in a couple of weeks is the bike toy ride. We heard where it is and what it was, and we want to thank Jesse and Alice for calling in with their wishes about the 3 feet or their 3 wishes about how to improve cycling here in the Los Angeles metropolitan area.
3 is a very important number on bike.
Yes, three isn't a lonely number, right? Isn't it 1? Was that
1 is a
that
lonely
song?
number.
1 is long.
We're not talking about.
But what we're trying to get to is the fact that bicycling is or cycling is a way to improve not only your health but find different ways to use it as a transportation kind of alternative to the automobile and the tailpipe that's out there. All right, you knew that. You knew where I was going with that. How about a minute or two of...
I just need another more minute of the Bike Summit.
All right, here you go. Jeff.
Thank you. I'm just going to take this microphone here with me and hide behind the podium.
Yeah, I'm rarely accused of being shy, and microphones are typically weapons for me because my voice tends to be loud enough. But thank you all for coming out, and congratulations for being here. It's a huge step. I know a lot of you do a ton of work in your communities, and sometimes we all feel like we're in too many bloody meetings. But it is very much my hope that over the next 3 days, that all of you are going to gain some really good insights. You're going to learn a little bit how not to reinvent the wheel. You're going to learn what's really working in other communities. You're going to get an idea of what's happening on a statewide level, what's happening on a national level, and to really leverage your passion, your experience, your commitment to this movement to really help us transform and help grow our people-powered movement. So the Alliance, I'm just going to give you a quick little bit and share a few things here. The Alliance is a coalition of 185 bicycle and pedestrian advocacy organizations. We have some walking-only organizations. We have some biking-only organizations. We have a few organizations like the Active Transportation Alliance and Transportation Alternatives who also advocate for transit. So we're a number of organizations, but the common thread is these are all local and statewide organizations. Many of them are volunteer-based, like some of your organizations. A number of them are staffed, and that's one of the things that sort of helped bring the Alliance together about 15 years ago, was a bunch of our organizations have been getting trainings from Charlie Gandy, who's here in the front row, and he convened us at a ranch out in Wyoming, the Thunderhead Ranch, which is where our name, the Thunderhead Alliance, came from for many, many years. And it was the first chance for a lot of us to meet for the first time. Randy Neufeld, who's staying in the back of the room here, was the most veteran bicycle advocate in the entire movement. He'd been on the job for 8 whole years, and he was an absolute god to most of us, including some of us who had been a paid executive director for an entire 3 days before getting to this ranch. And we realized that there was so much shared experience and that we were facing the common problems, whether we were large rural states like Maine or big urban areas like San Francisco, Washington, D.C., New York. So we've really been working to share and grow this movement. So when we first got together in 1996, 15 years ago, there were 12 organizations. We had a full-time equivalent of 10 staff. And our budgets collectively were under $1 million. Today, that top line there is showing the full-time equivalent of over 300 staff amongst our 185 organizations. Collectively, we have over $30 million in budget and many hundreds of thousands of members. So we really are a power and a force to be dealt with. I'm going to shoot a bunch of numbers at you guys, and this is somewhat to share tools and share ideas. So 50 million, it's a big number. It's a number of people who bicycle in this country. And collectively they add up to about 4 billion trips around the United States. We make up, bicycling and walking together make up 11.5% of all trips in this country. And sadly we also make up about 13.5% of the fatalities. So it's a little disproportionate there, especially when we look at the amount of funding we get. Now, there's been a lot of talk in the last couple of months from a couple of senators about 10% of all transportation funds are pulled away from important highway projects and bridges in order to pay for transportation enhancements. And we really wish it was 10%. It ought to be 10%. It's 1.6% of all federal funding that goes to bicycling and walking. So when we look at those numbers of 11.5% of all trips, 13.5% of all fatalities, and we're getting a measly little slice of the pie here. It adds up to about $2.17 per person. So all our tax dollars, the thousands of dollars each of us put in, we get a couple bucks on an annual basis. And there's the funding picture from transportation. And remember that on the federal scale, the transportation budget makes up less than 1% of the entire federal government. Okay? You know, defense, we all know, is like 60%. Transportation is 1%. And within that 1%, we're getting 1.6%. So we are not the solution to fixing bridges that are crumbling, because we're barely going to pay for the railings on the bridges. Now, if we look at some of the other numbers of what transportation enhancements has made possible, we're getting 3,000 projects per year. In all 50 states we're seeing these, and they are creating some 8,400 jobs. So jobs and safety should be two of the key messages we really hone in on. It's nice to talk about the environment, it's nice to talk about health, and we want to cater to our audiences. You know, certainly quality of life is a key thing to all of us, but right now jobs and safety are some of the key pieces we want to focus in on. Now, we could spend that money on highways, and we would get 15 miles of this kind of stuff, which I think many of us can argue we might have enough of already.
He's pointing at 15 miles of freeway. We're going to pause it here and say goodbye to... you can kill it. Say goodbye to you now, but we're going to keep the audio running and then play some of this next week for you on Bike Talk. Okay, Nick. Talk to you soon. Do you want to...
15 miles of that, or do we want the thousands of projects all across the country? And transportation enhancements does go to a lot of things. The largest piece of it does go to bicycling and walking, and this is the funding chart of all the other sources of funding. One of the things that the Alliance has been working on with the League of American Bicyclists is on our Advocacy Advanced Partnership. So with funding from SRAM, we've been able to do a number of things. One of which is to give grants to good local organizations. California Bicycle Coalition got one about a year ago from us. We're also doing a lot of research to highlight other sources of funding, and so here we see...